Good morning, good morning. Thank you for returning. We have a fantastic session, and it's fantastic because we have two of our customers here present with us this morning. And I kind of want to frame why we're doing this, because what you're going to hear is we have two customers here on stage who have not deployed to the cloud. And so far this morning, from both Mike and from Brian Desmond's wannabe, you've heard all about our cloud delivery and cloud delivery strategy. And what we've learned as we've taken on projects like Grinnell, like MetLife, is that what we need to do as a services team is cloud is an and. What we do at the services team is everything we do today and. It's additional handshakes, some with internal teams, some with new internal teams. But what we have to do is what we do today, but have to do it even better. So we've invited two of our customers here to have a conversation with us, a fireside chat, if you so wish, since we're in Washington, D.C., is to have a conversation with them. What did they see from their Guidewire consultants who helped them implement? And hopefully we're going to extract some nuggets from this that each of us can take away from here and be a better consultant as we deliver, both on-prem and for cloud delivery. So let me make some introductions. We have with us Lisa Wharton, who represents the Motorist Insurance Group. And we've also invited one of the Guidewire managers or one of the Guidewire leads to be here and to help present both the customer view and the Guidewire view. So we have with us Kevin Miller. Thank you both for being with us. By way of introduction of who is Motorist, we're going to show you some video that takes you to the customer site and helps tell their story.
As part of our 2021 vision, we decided that we wanted to choose one system that we would all operate under for policy billing and claims. And we went through a selection process, starting with quite a few companies and then finally selecting Guidewire. A lot of our peers are using it, but we also chose it too because during the demo we saw how user-friendly it was. We also realized that replacing policy billing and claims would certainly help us on the back end be more efficient and effective, but from an agent and a policyholder's perspective, that wasn't really going to get us the splash in the market. They don't see Guidewire, so we added Portal on as well. We wanted to make sure that we offered our insurance in a way that fit current expectations, real time, ease of use, any platform, whether it's tablet, phone, laptop, computer. We wanted to make sure that we could respond in any way that our policyholder and agents would expect us to interact with them and make business as easy as possible and as real time as possible to make us the carrier of choice.
So Lisa is the Vice President of Systems Transformation. Lisa, thank you for being here with us today. Absolutely. And representing Wawanesa Insurance is Tracy Riley, and Tracy is the VP of Business Transformation. So obviously you can see we have the IS representation and the business representation, which I think is a neat mix because as a consulting team, not often do we get both of them in the room together to be able to have that conversation. So Tracy, thank you for being with us. And again, by way of introduction to who is Wawanesa, we've got some video.
5 years ago, we started this journey with Guidewire to implement Policy Center and Billing Center. We already had Claim Center, but now we were getting the whole insurance suite. So, first we rolled out to San Diego region. We started working there on Policy Center and Billing Center and introducing personal lines products for auto and personal property, and getting the systems to talk, Claim Center talking to Policy Center and such. Then for our next release, we went to Alberta, and for R2, we rolled out the personal lines, auto and some commercial auto and personal property for the Alberta regions. And now we're working on rolling out personal lines to the majority of our country, Canada. Through the last 5 years, I've really learned that out of the box is the foundation. We should stay out of the box, except where it just won't work. But that was the real key thing. You know, you thought you wanted something one way, and you learned the way it is the way it should be, and you find your way to work with it. So you change your process, not your system.
And sitting with Tracy, we have Diedrich Kloosterman, who represents Guidewire and helped Wawanesa on their second release. How many releases have you had, Tracy?
For Policy Center and Billing Center has been 2, and we've already done Claim Center across the organization.
Yeah. Can you talk us through what was the business case for bringing in Policy Center and Billing Center?
Well, many years ago when we decided to go with a new system, the focus was really the system and not the transformation piece. And we realized shortly after having Claim Center that it had to be a bigger picture, and it had to be the technology, the people, and the processes to get the transformation that we're looking for.
Lovely. So as we go through this session, we have one more quirk. We have Jeff Prenovost from our data management team, who's capturing a mind map as we go, so that some of these nuggets that we pull out will capture into this and to help reinforce some of the points, and then we're going to share this electronically with everybody at the end of the session. So Jeff, thank you for being here. Thank you for capturing this in real time. What you'll see is as we go throughout, the mind map will come up at certain moments when Jeff believes he's captured something interesting. So, Tracy, if I pivot back to you, and we just watched the video, and we had Anita, very special individual with your team. She's very articulate, and one of the things that really came through is this conversation around being out of the box. Can you talk us through at a leadership level and a business level, how did you make that key decision, and then how did you also propagate that message down through the project team?
So it's interesting you asked that, because when I first joined the project as a sponsor, I didn't realize what minimum viable product and out of the box meant. And Robert and Diedrich would confirm this. I wanted the system to do everything. And it was going to the Guidewire conference that it kind of hit me, talking to other customers and talking to some Guidewire folks, that we had to do what we needed to as far as minimum viable product and out of the box. And when you have those types of guiding principles, it makes the decisions much easier. So it is easier to say no to people. We're going out of the box. We don't want expensive system upgrades later on. And I'm still getting some questions now, after the fact of delivery is, well, why did you make this decision? Why did you go this route? It's out of the box. It's an easy answer.
Yeah. It's an easy answer, but it also means that you have to give up things.
You do, yeah. And so it is after the fact, after you deliver, that you want to make sure that you have a backlog of enhancements where you want to consider some of the additional integrations or other pieces that you want to bring in. Again, considering that you do have strategic themes and guiding principles that you want to follow as you move forward, so you don't lose your initial goals.
Yeah. Lisa, can you talk us through for motorists, what was your key objective?
For the transformation program was to implement Guidewire for commercial lines on policy, billing, claims, utilize it out of the box. We also utilized SBTs and digital portal. And like I had mentioned in the video, digital portal became apparent that we needed to add that on, because while we could transform within the company, it didn't really mean much to our agents if they couldn't see anything but our old portal. And so we've got the digital portal mixed with the core suite.
So representing an IT team, typically they like to build. They like to create. How did you spread the message that we're going to try to keep the product as out of the box as possible?
Actually, we had some executive sponsors. We had our CEO and president, our COO, our CIO, and our CMO. And I had a business partner I worked very close with and was in a very similar role to Tracy. And between the two of us And another partner, James Sullivan, who was our customer experience, we worked with our executive sponsors who pushed the word across the executive team. We had all-in town hall meetings across the company where they pushed the message. And then on a day-to-day basis, as we approved the actual work that came through, whether it was user stories, additional requests, we always assessed, is this how it work out of the box before we approve those work items to move forward.
Oftentimes, our consultants get in trouble by pushing back and saying no. But yet, I think oftentimes that's respected by the business. Can you talk us through, Tracy, talk us through maybe an instance or something that's appreciated by having a Guidewire consultant who is firm and can respectfully say no to the business?
So we actually had that conversation with our staff right from the start, was that we shouldn't think we know everything. And that Guidewire is bringing a lot of expertise from deliveries they've done all over the world. And we need to listen to them. And so that's really the approach we took. We do tend to think we know more than everybody else, and we had to take that step back and listen to Robert and listen to Diederik and hear what they had to say. Knowing the advantages and disadvantages to decisions we're making are huge.
Yeah, definitely. Lisa, talk us through, I think you have a consultant that is on site today and is really good at this. Can you kind of tell the story? What are the traits of the Guidewire consulting team when they're able to respectfully push back? Talk us through those traits and how they do it and how that message resonates with you as the customer.
Well, I think some of the things that this consultant exhibits is patience with us and helping us understand why we need to go one particular route versus a route that we thought that we needed to go. Let me be quiet for a minute. All better now? Yes, okay. Don't worry, I'm in IT, I understand. So anyhow, this person has patience, and if the group that he's talking to doesn't understand, he'll find another way to explain it. And I've gotten direct feedback from these business groups that he works closely with that they really appreciate him. They appreciate his approach, his patience. He's respectful. He explained things in a way that they understand because these are not technology people. And also, this person mentors another person on my team that's learning Guidewire configuration development, and she can't say enough good things about him because he somehow finds a way to talk to her on her level as well, and she's not super experienced in Guidewire GoSu development, and so he kind of can make that whole transition from a business partner who's not technical at all to a person that's trying to figure out how can I become a better configuration developer, and that is something that I think is somewhat rare in the IT world, somebody that has that type of personality that can interact with people, explain at multiple levels, and make people feel good about it after the conversation, not feel bad like they didn't know something.
Yeah, definitely. So let me bring Kevin and Diederik into this. So that mentorship is a key element for what Guidewire delivers to our customers, and to make sure that the customer staff or the partner staff that we're working alongside, that our team members are mentoring. Do either of you guys have a story to tell where that was really evident on the customer side?
Sure, I can start. When I took over from Robert, he did the release 1, and I took over and did release 2 for Wabanisa. What I saw right away was it's a huge program, and there were 10 tracks going all parallel. We had to bring consistency in all those tracks, so we were sure to use the Guidewire methodology. We went everything, all the user stories, we managed in Rally or Agile Central now. And there were like 8 or 9 consultants on site from Guidewire. They were all leads on every track. So we had a Policy Center functional lead, we had a Claim Center functional lead, we had a data migration lead, we had an integration lead. So everybody was in a lead role on those tracks. We made sure that everybody was communicating very well across the program. So we had all our scrums, of course, but also the scrum of scrum, which is very important with the cross-track communication. We also had our Guidewire scrums where people were like talking together as Guidewire consultants, how we could figure out solutions for Wawanisa on certain difficult configurations. So that's how we went through it.
So when you started, was there this atmosphere of mutual respect between Guidewire and customer?
Yes, I have to say, Wawanisa is a very professional company. Their IT department, their developers, they are professionals. So it made it also hard because they knew a lot of stuff already. And to mentor them is sometimes hard then, right? Because they know, we know how to do things, right? But we had a good relationship with them, and they did listen to Guidewire to get our best practices in and try to lead them through the journey. So
and Tracy, I think there was something that you did with the team to help really build that mutual respect. What was that?
So one of the things we had to do is we were talking a little bit earlier about the fact that the team was struggling at first. And that we did have a couple folks on the team that didn't agree with the agile methodology. And we basically had to remove them because it was, like if you don't agree with it, you're out. That's the approach we've decided to take. And then what we ended up doing as well is co-locating the project team. So whether you were on the business side or on the IS side, we were all together, and that made a huge difference. We didn't have people in all different buildings. We could get together for our scrums. We could deal with issues very quickly. And we chose leaders for the project that showed a lot of leadership skills, period. So whether it be someone that was on business transformation, someone that was with Guidewire, with Wawanisa, some were PMs, some weren't. We pulled people from various different roles and put them on as leaders. And we had regular leadership meetings, so they were talking.
Let me throw it over to Lisa and to Kevin. How did you guys structure the team so that there was this maximum amount of mutual respect and this collaboration?
Want me to take it?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know that we want to go into the partner conversation quite this moment, but we had a partner, a systems integrator, Guidewire, and Motorist. And from day one, we had everybody together. And I think I mentioned I had a business partner that was very much like Tracy's role, and then also customer experience, which helped with the digital portal. And we put all the teams together. We had underwriters on the team, we had developers, infrastructure, architects, quality assurance, the list goes on of everyone that was together. And originally when we started out, we were on one floor, and there were like 8 of us. And then it grew by a couple more, and a couple more, and a couple more as we went through analysis and figured out what the team needed to look like. And we developed the tracks for the program. We had all the usual suspect tracks: policy track, billing track, claims track, data track, forms track, and the list goes on. We had over 22 tracks. And as the team got larger, we had to pick where we were going to put people, and we wanted them in an environment where it didn't matter where you sat. It wasn't about what department you're from, what company you work for. It was just about getting the user stories done that were organized under each track that led to the implementation of our new company on May 1st, 2017. So when you walked into the 2 floors that we renovated, people would be sitting not in the same seat they were in yesterday. They are sitting with the people that they're working with on the user story. And it could be a BA, a QA, a developer, and an underwriter sitting huddled in one of the little areas. And anyone that's been on our site, I see a few of you out there, you know what this working environment is like. It's got its pluses and its minuses. It's very open and collaborative. But as we've gone operational, I won't go too far into that, but as we've gone operational, people have kind of picked their seats because it's not so much about all these new user stories. It's now about operationally supporting what we've got, but it's still that open area. And we still have projects somewhat around the same tracks because we still have continuous improvement that we're doing in each area.
Yeah, lovely. Kevin?
And I was going to say, I think one of the important things is not necessarily what we do for a particular project, but we try to instill in all of our services people that it should be a one-team attitude. You're there. It shouldn't matter if you're dealing with the customer, a partner. You're there to mentor, help, and ultimately, we're all focusing on the success of the project.
Yeah, for sure. So let's key in on that for a second. So typically on a customer, there'll be multiple tracks, multiple teams working together. How do you create consistency across all those working groups?
If you have an example from motorists, I'm going to have to go to my past if you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So for motorists, some of the things that we did was from the leadership level. Myself and my two partners, we'd have town halls with the group to talk to them about these are the major priorities of the program. We had monthly sprint demos, which even though we're operational, we still do sprint demos because we still have so much work that we're churning out. Yeah. We have integrated plans that we update quarterly, and it brings people together so they understand what they're supposed to be working on. And there's more examples, but I'll spare you that these are the type of things that we do. And then on a day-to-day basis, these user stories, we have a master backlog, and there's user stories that go through and they get picked out for the projects. And it doesn't really matter who's on the team, from what company you're from, what department you're from. The goal is still the same that carried in from the program. You're just a group of people trying to accomplish the goal of what's been communicated in a town hall or the integrated plan or what you saw accomplished in the sprint demo. It's still that one team mentality.
Yeah, lovely. Tracy, you mentioned the leadership word a couple minutes ago, and I want to key in on that for a second. Can you talk me through when a Guidewire consultant comes on site, you expect them to be a leader. What does that mean to you as a business lead?
So from a Guidewire perspective, what we're looking for is someone that, really is going to guide us through some of our decisions that we're doing. And whether it's a decision that we're making and the pluses and minuses to each of those decisions, pulling people together when needed. Sometimes it's a lunch, sometimes it's a conversation, sometimes it's pulling together people very quickly when we need a decision quickly, or we've got a challenge that we're facing. Yeah. It is someone that has initiative, for sure.
Yeah. Lisa, same question to you. What does a Guidewire consultant who comes on site and is a leader, what does that mean to you from the IT group's point of view?
It means a lot of the same as what Tracy shared, but some things that I'll add to that. When we brought Guidewire in, Motorist was mostly a mainframe shop. We had some internet services, was a department we had where we had some Java developers, but I'd say the vast majority of the IT shop was infrastructure or mainframe. And so something that we really needed when we had Guidewire consultants come in is that they would coach and mentor people that had the aptitude to learn GoSu and had the aptitude to learn how to work within the Guidewire space, but they weren't really there yet. So I mentioned before patience, respect, having a way to communicate where a person feels good when they leave every day and they're motivated to come back tomorrow and they're hungry to learn more. So also somebody that's able to kind of put the guardrails on. Tracy mentioned people wanted to go this way and that way, and I have this idea of what I want the system to do, but a way to come in and be that leader for us that puts the guardrails on, that doesn't say no, but says maybe you should kind of go that path instead of veering completely the opposite direction or veering off in a different direction. I'm doing it respectfully and in a way, again, that people feel good after the conversation.
Yeah, lovely.
If I could just add, is this still on? If I could just add that, I think when we're working with consultants in general, and I'm sure Lisa would agree, is that we're not looking for someone that's just going to come in and quickly do a job and get out. We're looking for someone that wants the best for us as well. And that's what we need to see from a consultant, is that they're really working hard to make sure that we're left with a product that's good quality and that's going to work for us, not just meeting a date and throwing something out there. And what we saw from the Guidewire folks that we had on site was they really cared about this working for us.
Well, could we expand that and say that they had to look holistically a bit? They couldn't just be deep down in the product. They had to come up a level, look across the business unit to make better decisions. Would that be fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had things going on from an operational perspective. We had all sorts of moving parts all over the place. We're a direct writer, plus we have brokers. So, you know, the consultants we worked with really had to look at the broad perspective and work with us and listen to us about what our needs are. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. So to Diedrich, Wawanesa is a little bit special in so much that they're a broker business and Canadian. And so talk us through, how did you and the team learn the broker business and learn the uniqueness of Wawanesa so you could better support them?
It was indeed a difference because release 1 was not broker based in the US, so we had to kind of shift gears a little bit when we did our Canadian release because this broker aspect was in there. How we dealt with it, I think it's just trying to I remember meetings where we went in and just showed like, okay, this is the Guidewire way of doing broker business. Not only from a screen or UI perspective, but also from like how the producers and all the companies roll into each other. So we had to explain that and we had to deal with that. But other than that, I think we learned from them and they learned from us how the product worked, right? So it was kind of a coherent, like
a two-way street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I wanted to add that, to me, that's the way I have traditionally figured out the best way to do things, is to not only come in with recommendations, but listen first and make sure your recommendations are addressing their problems and not just pushing, this is what Guidewire normally does.
Yeah. It's interesting. And so just to address something, so we have 2 suite customers up here, but we did reach out to a couple of Insurance Now customers to see if they wanted to participate, and in the end with logistics and things it didn't happen, but I think these same messages are applicable no matter whether you're an Insurance Now consultant working on a customer or whether you're an Insurance Suite or underwriting management or predictive analytics or data or digital consultant. And so it does bring to mind, I had a conversation with a Insurance Now customer who also had a unique line of business, and the Guidewire team had to really listen and learn from them. And they started to say that learning has to stop after a period of time. We expect consultants to know our business. So a question for both Lisa and Tracy: what's the timeline? I mean, how long is a customer willing to help enable the Guidewire consultant before it's too much? And how, as a Guidewire consultant, can we realize, hey, you know what? They've taught us enough about the business. We need to go learn this on our own. Can you kind of talk me through that? How long is too long?
A week.
A week.
Well, to be honest with you, so Diedrich was being really nice when he was saying, I don't know if he said we were strong or stubborn or whatever it is, but we do expect a lot from our consultants. And as much as we recognize that we're learning together, we're paying a lot of money to have expertise come in. And to be honest with you, we don't have a lot of patience for someone learning on the job. Yeah. So we do have an expectation that they're going to be very quick in that either they learn quickly or they're reaching back into the organization very quickly to get the information that we need.
Yeah, love it. Any thoughts?
I would reiterate that. I don't know if it's any different in IT than the business. I'm not thinking so much that it is, but generally when we would bring a consultant in, it was as a specialization. Like, we need somebody that knows Billing Center from a technology perspective. We need somebody that's strong in policy center and SBTs. We need that particular thing. And as long as they come in with experience in that particular area, which more so than not, I'd say over the whole 4 years, the majority of the consultants that came in from Guidewire were spot on what we asked them to come in and help with. Well, so there wasn't really a lot of patience that had to be had there. They came in and they knew that specialty area, but something with each one of them that was a unique experience is what else they brought that we didn't know that they were going to bring. Whether it's their personality and their ability to work with different business units, and as soon as we figured it out, we leveraged it. Their ability, oh, we brought you in for billing center, but you either know all the centers or you're really good at navigating the Guidewire landscape to figure out who knows what because you're quick. And so it's more that versus how good do you write code? You know, obviously we don't want defect-ridden code, and we haven't had that situation with any Guidewire consultant that's come in, but it's more that value add that we find we've had with the majority of the consultants that come in. So I don't know if I call it patience, because most of them that have come in have known that thing that we needed. We need a policy center developer. They can do that.
And I think this conversation goes to play into the challenge of being a good Guidewire consultant, is knowing deep domain knowledge and being that product expert, and then being able to get out of the product mindset and to have a good business conversation. And that's difficult. Yeah.
I would add, Justin, that it's really important for a consultant to ask a lot of questions, because we don't know what we don't know, whether it's business or IT. And so I think it's important to ask questions so they have a good understanding of what we're trying to accomplish and areas where we might need more assistance.
Yeah. So both of you mentioned the partner relationship, and I think that's something to bring into the conversation is as you've gone through your release cycle and later phases, you've brought more partners in to help enable you with some of those later phases. And there have been very positive relationships that have been built. So I'd like to start with Motorists, and Motorists had a deep relationship with PwC, especially on the digital front. Let's watch some video that talks about that relationship, and then we'll come back and have a conversation about it.
When we were going through our selection process for our SI for digital experience, we did select PwC, and their experience center is a tremendous asset to us to deliver phenomenal experience for our agents. They also helped us to include our agents in the process. We didn't just go out and create what we have based on what we thought internally. We actually included our agents, and PwC is a key player in helping us to deliver that from our agents' point of view.
As I reflect on this project and how it's evolved over the last 2 to 3 years, it's probably been the most high-performing team I've ever been involved in. And I think part of that is because of the bond between Motorists, Guidewire, and PwC. It's the largest investment in the history of Motorists, and it's the most transformational strategy in the history of Motorists.
A really good story to tell about that relationship with PwC. And Tracy, Wawanesa has a really good relationship with CAP. So let me start with you, Tracy. Tell us about the CAP relationship, and what is it that they're bringing to the table that Wawanesa really respects?
So maybe I'll just take a step back. With our first 2 releases, we didn't utilize a system integrator, and we decided to kind of complete the rest of our program using one. And the reason we did that was for, well, it was a number of reasons, but one, we were burning our own staff out because they had already done a couple releases, and they go fast and furious, as you know. And we had some facilities issues, so having that many people on site was difficult. And we wanted the overall expertise. And CAP brings a lot of insurance industry expertise that we were looking for as well. And they've been a really big help in that area. So when we talk about, new farm or new commercial products that we want to release, they're giving us a pretty good picture as to where the industry is going. They actually set me up with a farm mutual in the UK to have some discussions with them about products. So they've kind of gone above and beyond simply this implementation.
Lisa, talk us through. Can you take us a level deeper than the video? Talk to us about the relationship of PwC, and kind of the same question to you is, where have they really excelled?
Well, I won't go too deep into the beginning of the transformation program, and that was the program that we embarked upon to stand up a brand new company, a greenfield company within the Motorist Insurance Group. So the new company's name is just Motorist Insurance. And what we were trying to create is something that was unique in the insurance industry. It's agile, it's continuous improvement, it's open and collaborative and transparent. It's just one company working together without a bunch of barriers of departments and everything. But we still had the Motorist Insurance Group to run. And so we still had all of our other affiliate companies, our products to support, our IT systems, because one big thing that was not part of the transformation program was conversion off of legacy systems, which we're working on now. But at the time, to stand up the new company, it wasn't. So having said that, we didn't have deep enough staff to ramp up a brand new company at the same time that we kept the existing companies running. So we partnered with PwC and Guidewire to staff up to roll out this new company, and the thought was as things are dying down on the old system, people would move over into the new company where everything was going to transition to Guidewire. So we had about a 75-25 split in staffing, 75% consulting and 25% internal. Right now it's 60-40. But we had to pick a partner that we could trust, that would bring a lot of knowledge, that would bring success. PwC has a long trail of success behind them and Guidewire implementations. Somebody that had depth across business, technology, architecture, and somebody that we felt like we could get into a meaningful relationship with, and they would be a true partner, not just to get in and get it done and get out. And they truly have been a partner. They have invested in our program, whether it's from a personal perspective of them giving up holidays and vacation days, which they have, to help us meet our goals. And they've also been there to help counsel us in all the areas that we had hoped that they would.
Yeah. Would there be one or two things that you would point to? How mechanically did you set up the relationship at the beginning so that there was this bond between Guidewire and PwC and motorists?
So I keep mentioning this tripod. We call it the three-legged stool. You saw James speaking. He was customer experience. We've got Todd, the business, and myself. What we did with with PwC is we have counterparts to each of us. And so, and then the person that they reported to was a counterpart with our executives, and they were involved in all of our executive sponsor meetings, our decisioning. They truly were embedded within the Motorist Insurance Group. So all the way from the top, all the way through the team, where we had some critical roles like I have a Guidewire lead. He's a developer, very experienced, and he's the lead over all of our Guidewire developers at Motorist. And he has a counterpart from PwC. And I could go through each of the layers within the group where each leader has got a PwC leader. And then underneath where we had to partner people, we also brought in people from Guidewire to partner to help train and mentor people, but also PwC. So it was pretty much from the top all the way through that they were matched up where we felt it was appropriate, but definitely at the leadership level.
Yeah, lovely, good advice. Let me swivel chair for a second, and Tracy, Guidewire is taking ownership of more larger programs. Guidewire-led initiatives for some large customers. What advice would you have to Guidewire and to our consulting team for how to set up that relationship, right? I mean, what we heard from Lisa, some really good advice about that sharing at the executive level, matching people up. Would you have some advice on that?
Well, I would agree with what Lisa said. I think the governance, the escalation, all that's really important. The relationship between all of them is extremely important. Communication, collaboration, with a lot of moving parts. You don't want one team going off and doing something and another team taking a different approach. So throughout the program, people have to be talking, and so it's the governance, it's the escalation, it's the regular communication. The one thing I would add as well is what I noticed when I joined the project is that it was very technology focused at the PM level, at various levels within the project or the program. And I really kind of had to push my way in on the people and the processes side of things. So we could see the big picture as opposed to the technology stream itself. And I think that's really important to bring that overall view in. Anything that Guidewire can add as far as the change management, the people and the processes would be a huge area for you to get into further.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. Thank you for that. We heard a couple of times where both CAP and PwC were able to reach back into their ecosystem and get good advice from other customers. For Kevin and for Diedrich, that is a key to the Guidewire Services team as well. One of our values being collegiality and that openness to go ask a question and get an answer back. Can you kind of talk through how did you guys do that on Motorist and on Wawanesa? Who did you reach out to? What were the tools you used to get good answers for Lisa and for Tracy and colleagues?
Well,
Kevin?
At Motorist, it's the on-the-ground consultant is the one, he's the first touch point. And we have a lot of the built-in supports, the Answer Hub, personal networking, emails, and regular contact. I keep regular contact with him. So anything that comes up where he needs assistance, he will come and we'll find it for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for me, like I mentioned, we had the benefit of having a bigger Guidewire team, right? So we could do a lot amongst ourselves. Just kind of bounce it off of another Guidewire consultant. But there were times where I remember there were some performance issues on the rating side. Do you call in? Marty Avik. It's the man. So, like, of course, you reach out to the entire Guidewire organization and get those problems resolved.
And the response needs to be timely. Right? There's a patience level to how long you can wait. Kind of talk us through what's your standard? How quick are you looking for the Guidewire team to get the answer back?
Well, from a business perspective, we're telling our folks we have to have a decision made in 48 hours. So the turnaround has to be very quick.
Oh, I think, as I say in almost every answer, it depends. If it was before May 1st, before we went live, it was like right then we need an answer because the timeline was so tight. We were given a date to work backwards from, and everything was so tight to meet that date. Obviously, if it's production, right now. Like we need it right now. If it's something that we're trying to figure out, like one of our business partners wanted to utilize an accelerator, and we're on version 8, and next year we plan to go to 10, and this particular accelerator is for version 9. And so one of the consultants that we've got tried to make it work with 8, did his best. But it just wasn't going to happen unless we did some things that we have set our guiding principles we don't do. We're not getting in and breaking black box code. We're not customizing. We're not, causing an upheaval that's going to cause us a maintenance nightmare later. And so that answer took a little longer to get to because it was a little deeper, and we didn't expect an answer back today. So there are different examples. If it's production or we're working backwards from a date, right now, we need it right away, versus if it's something along, do some research to see if we could utilize this or what options might we go down to solve the problem we've got. We have a little more patience, maybe 2 days. No, I'm kidding. Maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah, fair enough. And Kevin, you mentioned Answer Hub as one of the tools that the team can use. I think it's probably worth noting in context of this discussion is that team members should be in Answer Hub giving those answers on a timely basis because there's people behind the scenes that are waiting for that and needing it.
Correct. And you'll see when you follow Answer Hub, a question comes out and typically it'll get a response within the next couple hours. I mean, sometimes responses keep coming in for weeks and weeks at a time, but it's a very good tool. And to see if the question was asked before, Federator is another very good tool. And our Confluence page, there's a lot of collateral to help support.
Yeah. Let me kind of go down another path here as we have just a few minutes remaining in the session. So motorists had a situation. There were some performance issues and a situation was raised. And typically when we think about that, we think about it being this red flag and alarms going off. Kevin, kind of talk us through what was the initial reaction to the situation? What did you find as you worked through it? Can you kind of talk us through the situation, especially for people that maybe have never been part of that before? What did you learn?
Well, one of the things I learned is that we actually worked together. That three-legged stool she was talking about worked very well in the case of the situation. So we set up the periodic calls to identify the issue and address the issue. And motorists participated, PwC participated, Guidewire participated, and the visibility of that meeting went all the way up through stakeholders and sponsorship. But what was good about this in particular was it wasn't there's a problem, Guidewire, you fix it. It was, we have a problem, we need to fix it, we need to analyze what the issue is, and we need to analyze every attempt at an improvement, what happened. So internal motorists, they have excellent tools, and it's an internal person at Guidewire who runs them, and he's fantastic with it. And he was able to help identify exactly where the issues were, and by the way, when we apply a fix, what was the improvement.
Yeah, lovely.
And the situation worked so well that after we closed the situation, we kept doing those meetings for 6 months after to just help get continual improvements.
Very good. Thanks for sharing that. Tracy and Lisa, I'll state the obvious. It's amazing to have two women up on stage in a VP role, in a very senior role representing two of our real partner customers. Guidewire has an initiative going on. Guidewire respects our women. We call it internally grow. Can you kind of tell us your career story? How did you get to be where you are? Tracy, do you want to go first?
We just look at each other. So I think from my perspective, we talked a little about this earlier, is that you have to show initiative. You know, if someone throws something at you, take it. It's a good opportunity. It's a learning opportunity. Having various different roles really adds to, I think, your toolkit. And all the roles I've held throughout my career have really helped me with the role I have now. Underwriter, broker, internal auditor, you name it, I've kind of done it. And I think getting a really good coach and mentor. So our current CEO, I kind of followed him up through the ranks in the organization, and he's always had a lot of faith in me and has put me in roles that have challenged me and grown me. So like the role I have now, I tell him that he tricked me in taking it because it was way bigger than he explained it as being, but you know, he had enough trust and faith in me to be able to do it. So,
yeah. Lisa?
Mine's a very similar story. The mentor that you run into that believes in you even more than you believe in yourself, puts opportunities in front of you and helps coach you through that. I think another big thing I mentioned when we were talking earlier, I started my career out as a consultant. So for 4 years, I was a consultant right out of college. And I think anybody that's been a consultant, you know how it feels. You get on a client site, they say, oh, you're a consultant, do that. Now I'll do this. And you're thinking, I've never done that before, but I got to figure it out. So early on, probably not even so much by choice, I learned to just say yes. I mean, there's no point in saying no. And I also learned that so many more opportunities were there for me. There's this door you walk up to, right? And it's either closed or it's open depending upon what you're bringing. And the experience you gain from the many roles, some of which you look at and you're thinking, why would I do that? That doesn't even fit my thing that I'm doing in my career. Later on, you think, oh, that door would not have opened, or I would not have been successful in that role had I not tried that, or I had not said yes to that. So I think a lot of the stuff that Tracy had said, and then saying yes, has been helpful in my career.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is you talk about when those doors open and you walk through them, the saying yes. And Mike alluded to it in his remarks that Guidewire is very busy. We have lots of doors and opportunities that our field consulting team can go through. And then when we come back from lunch, we're going to have a conversation and start a conversation around when do we say no? And so I think it's a very interesting dynamic and probably a good way to wrap up and to conclude this session. We're right at the top of the hour. Let's give a great big hand of applause to both of our customers. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And one final time, let's pop the mind map up and see where we finished with that. Or not. There we go. There we go. Lovely. We will... I can't read it. We will get everybody an electronic copy of that, and hopefully it recaps and does a good job of pulling out some of the nuggets. I've certainly learned things through this conversation. I hope each of us have. Hopefully it's been a productive hour for everyone. And we're now at lunchtime. Please, as Mike said, go out, grab a friend, grab somebody that you don't know, and go have lunch. We'll be back here right exactly at 2 p.m. to start. So please be back right on time at 2 p.m. Thank you.